What's up, wrestling card collectors? Welcome to another edition of WTC TV. I'm very excited about today. I think I've been wanting to get this guy on for a while, so like that. This guy is a very talented artist, making some waves here in the trading card world. Custom cards, potentially something else in the future. We're going to find out today with good old Beau Jay. How are you, sir?
Good, man. Thank you for having me.
No, thanks for coming on, man. I know the time difference is massive here. So, like, what time is it over there in Australia?
Massive time difference, but it's a good gap. Like, it's 11:30 in the morning.
Oh, okay, great. Because I'm 5:30 in the evening on a Friday.
But it's Saturday, and you made me wake up. So no.
Oh, I made you wake up. So sorry.
No, you didn't make me do anything. It's all good. No. This is a great time. I've had to speak to people that are on is it Eastern time?
Yep.
And to tee that up is incredibly hard. Like, it's either really early in the morning or it's really late at night.
Yeah,
so
Eastern
this is really
time.
good. This is good.
I'm in Arizona, so
Okay.
we don't change time here. So the rest of the United States, will fall back during the winter and they spring forward during springtime. We never change. So I'm half the year I'm either on Pacific Standard Time, and the other half of the year I'm on Mountain Standard Time.
Oh, right. Okay, so
currently I'm on Pacific.
Do you guys do a thing like daylight savings? Do you have that?
Arizona does not do daylight savings.
Okay, but that's a thing in America, right?
The rest of the United States, except for Arizona.
Yeah, so we're in that right now. We just put all our clocks forward.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens in here until October, November-ish, I think, maybe.
Okay.
That's what I think. I'm not sure. Now that I've been here, my wife's got me indoctored of being here in Arizona, so I'm so accustomed to, like, I don't care anymore. So it's just, I have to kind of like, oh, did it spring forward? I totally didn't know. It's same time here.
As well. Yeah, we forget to do that stuff as well. And also, like, we're not going to have to put them back now till April. So...
Not that people want to hear this anyways, but I got to ask anyways. Since we're talking about times. When I sent you the invitation on this, did it give it to you in my time or did it already adjusted in your time?
So it gives both. It's really weird. In the email, when I just see the subject, because it comes through as a calendar thing, it says my time.
Okay, good.
But then when you click in, it says that the host is in Arizona. Please be aware of the time change.
Okay, good.
Can I not be aware of that?
Yeah. I was just curious because I write this little custom, like, please note, we are...
Yeah.
I write that in there, otherwise they don't tell you that.
Oh, okay, so that was from you.
That was from me, yeah.
Oh, I'm like, yeah. I totally get it. No, but that was actually good because it showed it to me in my time, but I also knew what it was for you. So
excellent.
That was good.
Well, guys, we're not here to talk about different time zones like that. That's not what we're all about here. We talk about cards, buddy, and wrestling cards particularly. But I'm so happy to have you on because I've been kind of following your work here for months now, actually. I've seen you do some stuff for the Major Fig guys. I've seen you do some stuff for just some random, like, I've seen some of your tweets where you're like, hey, just sort of like a spur of the moment kind of thing I wanted to do. What do you guys think kind of thing? And I'm like, holy shit, this should be like a trading card, like a real legit trading cards like that. Describe to people what you actually do with your design and to kind of describe like what kind of style would you say you have? Are you an illustrator? Do you do pencils? Do you do painting? What do you do?
I wouldn't say that I'm an illustrator. I don't know how to draw. Okay. I'm currently trying to get into that. But I'm not enjoying it so much. But in terms of my style, I don't really have a particular style. I haven't got, if you look at some other artists or graphic designers, if you spot their work, it was done by them, I don't have that right now because I tend to, much like when I was in the music industry, I like to be a bit more versatile, have a bit more variety about my work. So if one day I'm feeling like I want to make kind of a cartoony card, all right, that's the way I'm going. Then there's days where I wake up and I'm like, all right, the weather's trash outside, it's feeling dark, let's make a Darby Allin sort of thing, or an Undertaker thing or whatever I'm feeling, that's where I'm going. So yeah, I used to do the same when I was DJing and whatnot. I did the same excuse me, whatever music I felt like making was based on my mood. So I
Makes
don't want to
sense.
limit myself to just one kind of design and then just put out multiple different people of one design. You know, I feel
Sure.
like that's boring.
I look at your stuff and I do when I see a design, I almost kind of assume it's yours automatically because I've seen so much of your stuff through like especially through Twitter, and I
Yeah.
kind of go, oh, that's Beau stuff. I can totally like it does have a little bit of an element of you in it. I think there's a part of what you do for cards that definitely is you. While it may be darker or brighter or this or that, there's still a little bit of there's a little bit of you in everything piece, and it's like it kind of comes out a little bit, I think, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I try. Look, I don't see it myself, but like I say, everything that I do, I try to make the next one different. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, like the one that's in your background right now, the Ruby one that I did, that was just for a bit of fun. Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
um, you know, the next one that I did, okay, I'm going to stay away from the kind of grungy paper look and all that
yeah,
sort of
it's
stuff. Let's do something completely different.
it's very the Clash looking to me.
Yeah, the Clash.
Yeah, just reminds me of the
Okay,
Clash.
that's fair. All right, that's
For
fair.
me, it does.
That's fair. Hey, interpretation, it's a
Yep.
wonderful thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So then I'm like, okay, well, a couple of days later, I'll start working on something else. All right, let's go the completely other way. Let's make something a bit more colorful, and well, that is pretty colorful, but I mean, a bit more friendly on the eye rather than so messy and whatnot. All right, we go with that. But hey, if you notice that it's one of mine and whatnot, then I guess that's cool as well.
Maybe it has to do with the funky label. Sometimes it has your name on it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe
That's
that's what it
true.
is. Like,
Yeah.
um, when you're doing this, what is the process of doing this for you? Like, so this is completely digital work then for you,
All of it.
all of it.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much all of it. Process is very simple. So I'm self-taught. So I never went to school for graphic design. I never studied it at university or anything like that. Um, I started self-teaching just before COVID hit. And just before COVID hit, it was just I had a fascination with watching my mates design stuff. They used to design event flyers and things like that for festivals, for nightclubs, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I really loved watching it happen. I just sit there watching my mate designing. I'm like, man, I got no idea what you're doing, but it looks cool, you know? And
yeah.
then, yeah, the way it came about, I mean, my process, look, it's very simple. I'll wake up. I'm like, all right, I'll make something today. Let's go for it. I'll go in AEW roster or WWE roster or whatever it's going to be, or I follow a lot of indie wrestlers on Twitter. If I see that someone's put out some cool photos that I can possibly use for a design, all right, we'll do them today. And then whatever I'm feeling is matches their theme of who they are. We go with that.
When you put stuff out
Sort
there,
of.
like for a spur of the moment kind of stuff, do you get a lot of feedback from the talent?
Look, a lot have reached out in the past. Well, not reached out. Sorry, wrong choice of words. A lot have noticed it and acknowledged that I've posted it up. Not why I do it. Like I do it for myself, but it
Sure.
is nice if you know that they've seen it. That's pretty cool, I guess. But I mean, it's not a necessity. I don't need it to happen if I post something up. But Thunder Roses see my stuff. Aubrey Edwards, Scotty Too Hottie, all of those ones that I posted up, they reposted it on their socials and whatnot, which was cool
Yeah.
because I guess if someone of that sort of stature posts your stuff up, I guess maybe you can get a couple extra followers out of it, or
It's
maybe
just nice.
someone might
Hey,
reach
it's nice to
out.
be acknowledged for your work, though. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll be truthfully honest. It is nice when putting that stuff up that someone does recognize that you were the one that did that. But if they're not to, then big deal. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. I'm doing it for myself. I'm not.
But
I'm not.
have any of these nice comments and follows or retweets from some of the talent, have any of these led to projects or working with companies or down the road kind of thing?
Yes. So originally, if you want, I can explain how it all came about.
Sure, absolutely.
Um, yeah, like I said, I was self-taught. I was doing designs, and the reason I started designing cards, particularly, they were very basic sort of cards at the start. They were real simple. They looked like trading cards out of a sports pack sort of thing. if you were to get commons, I guess. They were really, really basic. And the reason I was doing it is because in Australia, we have a thing called the AFL. So for those that don't know what that is, it's the Australian Football League.
Funny, I had that as one of my questions for you about football.
All right.
Go ahead,
we
go
can
for
talk
it.
about that.
Go for it.
We can talk about that. But yeah, they look, it's no relation to gridiron, to NFL or anything, but that's our national sport here. That's the big one. And they put out, there's a company called Select Australia. They've got nothing to do with Select with Panini or anything like that, but they put out a whole bunch of cards. I think it's 4 or 5 sets a year. Some high end, some middle, some low. And we started seeing all these cards coming out that year, like a couple of years back now. And I'm like, man, these look kind of the same as the last set and whatever else. What if I just design my own and put them on display in my house, you know? And that was it. That's how it all started. I started designing my own stuff. Obviously wasn't making money or anything. I was just printing them for myself, putting them on display in my room and all this sort of thing. And then my mate comes around. He's like, "Where'd you get them?" I said, "Well, I just made them. I printed them." He goes, "Seriously?" He goes, "Make me some." I'm like, "All right." So then well, there goes my camera. You like that? There we go. We're back.
It is wrestling, man. It's wrestling. Anything can happen.
Yes. Yeah. You know, I started making stuff for my mates for nothing. And then, you know, I started charging some money for some like bootleggy jobs on the side, which were just, hey, I want a set of these cards from like Dragon Ball or whatever it was. And it's like this crappy set of cards that I made for somebody, you know. And after that, I was like, all right, well, you know, let me try my luck at actually getting better at design. So I didn't put out anything of my own because I don't really sell anything online or in person that I don't have the rights to. You know, I see a lot of people do bootleg stuff all the time. You know, apparel.
We've had plenty of conversations about this on past episodes.
I've got a pretty strong opinion on that, but we can go into that maybe down the track. But yeah, I started doing some stuff for myself, tutorials and little short course things on the internet that you can do to self-teach yourself. And look, I'm still not the best designer in the world, but I feel like I'm at a level where I can put out stuff and people may buy it, or you know, be able to offer services as a designer to whoever. And that was when I took a little bit of an interest in figure collecting, sort of all this stuff behind me, which is work in progress. And I joined the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast group, their Patreon group. And I was just posting my designs in there and just for a bit of fun while we were chatting and everything with everybody else. And Jeff Sharbo from Too Sweet Antiques, who does, he also runs kind of like a sub-company. It's called Too Sweet Relics. And he does a lot of relic cards. And he'd done stuff for Matt Cardona. He'd done stuff for Brian Myers. You know, and then a whole other bunch of ones were on his radar, and he hadn't done them yet. And he hit me up and he said, "Do you want to, you know, essentially be the designer for all my stuff?" And I said, "All right, let's go ahead. We'll do it." And then we put out a bunch of cards since he said that. But that was my pathway into the wrestling side of things. Then I was like, look, I've always kind of been a wrestling fan. You know, I don't want to tap into any other market at this point because it's all kind of saturated in terms of people that are doing collaborations with athletes and things like that. So why have I never seen anybody go into the wrestling scene and do this with wrestlers, you know? And then the more I kind of researched it a bit more, I saw there were people that had, you know, done things with independent wrestlers and, you know, ex-legends and stuff like that. I was like, all right, but maybe I can still do this and put my twist on it, and here we are.
Here we are, because I keep seeing you post. I shouldn't say keep seeing, like when you do post things on there. Usually, sometimes it's like, this is what I'm feeling right now. Other times it's like, this is coming soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I design daily. My spare time is if I'm not working on an official product, like something that I'm, you know, that's going to go out to the public, and I'm just doing, you know, random stuff on the side, whatever it might be, I'll be designing something, whatever it is. I can't stop. It's so addictive. But I enjoy it. You know what I mean? Because I enjoy it so much, I don't care if I've got like 5 or 6 of these, you know, projects just sitting there waiting to happen or whatever it might be. It doesn't bother me. So I just love
What is your
getting
current
on.
relationship right now with Major Figs right now? Are you still doing development stuff
Single.
for them too?
Oh, sorry.
Huh?
Oh, yeah, you said current
Single.
relationship. I'm like, single.
Single.
Yeah.
So you guys broke up.
Um,
All right, I get it.
no. My relationship with the pod guys,
Yeah.
it's good. I've got recently just released the Brian Myers card with Too Sweet, so I don't know if there's any of them left. I haven't. I
Those are so
don't.
badass looking.
The Brian ones.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
You
He
did
seemed to like him as well.
you
So
did the Sterling one too. I think you did, right?
yeah, we went for that Allen and
Yeah.
Ginter sort of
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that one as
Um,
well.
Look, they've gone really well. I mean, the Mark Sterling ones, those ones sold out in 6 minutes, I think it was.
That's crazy.
The Matt Cardona ones that we did for Hammerstein for GCW, they were gone in an hour. I think it was an hour. Brian, like I said, Brian, I'm not sure. Hornswoggle's gone. They're sold out as well. That was via WrestleCon and whatnot. The Maven ones and Rory Fox, that I think they're all gone now, other than their own personal allocations. But yeah, my relationship with the podcast is good. Like
That's awesome.
I spoke to Brian not long ago about the cards and all that. I'm still talking to Swoggle now. Won't say much more on that, but we're talking.
Someday I got to get those guys on. Someday I got to get those guys on. Just talk cards with those guys. But
Brian would be great for that, I think.
love to have him on. Love to have any of them on.
He's really into it, and he knows his stuff too. So.
That's great. Yeah, when I interviewed Heath Slater, he was my first guest on for my segment called. He was awesome. It was just awesome. Just and I met him through. We did a virtual convention during the peak of COVID stuff, so we couldn't do anything. Right. So we're going to tip our toes in this whole virtual meet and greet type of thing, right? And it didn't work out so well, but we exchanged numbers. He found out what I did for a living, and we started developing a friendship outside of that. And then I had him on as a guest, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy really is a big time card collector. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I spoke to him very briefly via email, and he said, "Yeah, I've always been a big card collector. Let's chat." And yeah, that's all I really knew. And then when I saw that he was doing videos, that he did an unboxing with Brian lately, that was on the YouTube, and I realized, okay, he's actually proper into this stuff.
He kept all his old stuff, even back from FCW days. He gave me one of all these.
Oh, that's old.
Yeah,
that's cool though. That's cool.
The first trading card for him, but it's pretty awesome that some of these guys actually do collect, which is pretty cool actually. So, with these relationships that you've got established so far now, I know you're always trying to branch and build more stuff like that. And I think one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on as well to talk about your work was because I think are you not putting out a card set sometime soon or next year or something you're working on possibly?
Not a set, no. I don't have.
Are all of your pieces kind of one-offs for each individual then?
Yes. Yeah.
So like for me as WTC, for us, as we archive every card.
Correct.
So how I don't have any of your cards archived.
Okay.
And I'm going to be working with you, hopefully, at some point in time where we can get like a list of all of them. And you see how we work our checklists and stuff like that.
For sure.
Like I'm almost thinking I should probably have like just one page, just call the Beau Jay collection, and just put it, and basically put it all on there on one giant checklist of all your stuff until you actually officially have like a card set.
Yeah. Look, I everything's been a one-off. They've been limited edition, whether it's to 50, whether it's to 100 or 75. I think we've done as well. None of them. It's never been a set of cards with multiple talent involved.
Gotcha.
The closest thing we got to a set was we did a 3-card bundle for Matt Cardona. So we had a relic auto. Sorry, we had just a kind of an art card, and then we had like a base card as well. And that was a 3-card bundle. I think they're gone now. They're long gone. But that was really cool to do 3 different designs and then offer something. Most of the time someone will have a talent will have on their website or their merch store, signed auto card or whatever it might be. But that's it. And we thought, I put forward the idea to Too Sweet, to Jeff. I said, why don't we do like a 3-card bundle, and give them more for their money. And it's a cool collector's item, as well. Like the way he packages his stuff and all that is really cool. you know. So I do that for my solo thing as well. But no sets, and I don't have any sets on the horizon. If you know something I don't,
I was just curious.
I might need to know about it so I can actually get to work. So I don't know anything about a set, but I'd like to do that in the future though. That'd be really cool. Like to work on an entire set in, you know, base through to insert through to autos and relics. Well, that'd be awesome.
I mean, not even to go to that extent. I mean, you know, I thought it'd be kind of cool maybe do like a 9-10 card set or something like that, you know.
Yeah, even that.
And just
I'd love to do that.
But, you know, that just requires a lot of moving parts, as you know. And speaking of those moving parts, without getting into specifics of like, you know, I don't want to hear financials. I just want to, like the process of like, I know everything's different, like the process of like contacting talent or talent contacting you and then design to distribution. Like, what does that process consist of?
It's a lot longer, I think, for me, just because of time difference. So I always have to. I find myself waiting for replies a little bit longer, whether it's through Twitter or Instagram. Most of the time, I'll reach out. I'll tell them who I am. Attached will be some of my work that I say, you know, this is what I'd love to do for you as well. And 9 times out of 10, they'll respond. Whether it's them or it's, you know, their management or whatever it might be, publicist. It depends how high up you go. They will reply whether they're interested or they're not, and then from there, it's if they're interested, it's very easy from there. Show them a kind of blueprint of what I want to do for them. They'll provide photos and so on and so forth, and then we get to design, print. Then I have to send, well, it depends. Sometimes I'll print the cards in America and they'll just sign them and send them to me. But then there's times where I prefer to use my printer here, and I'll print them, send them over, get them signed, ship them back to me. I'll package them all up nice, and then we start selling them. But when I was working for Two Sweet, or I should say, not past tense. If I work for Two Sweet, or I work for, let's say, you know, Team A or anyone else, they usually handle all of that. Because it's just too hard for me to handle that here when they've got such, you know, it's easy time difference for them. They can just go back and forth real quick or get on the phone as well. I can't do that. It's a lot harder for me, but it's a very simple process, you know. The only bad thing about it sometimes, there'll be, you know, and we've spoken about this prior, but, you know, I'll message one guy and he's like, yes, you know, I'm very interested. This looks cool. And then I'll go, all right, well, how do you want to go about this? You know, would you like to do this, or would you like to go this way? Here's what's on offer for you and for me. And then I'll wait about a month.
Typical wrestlers, I think.
Going, did I say something wrong? I didn't say anything wrong. I feel like that deal was really good.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm left in limbo. And then the next thing I get is a message from them, and they're like, yeah, that sounds great. And I'm like, man, you a month just to say that sounds great? I'm like, damn, now what? So, am I going to wait another month? You know, so, but it's cool. I don't mind waiting, you know, because you're waiting for something. It's a good opportunity, you know, to work with a lot of these people. I never would have thought that was going to happen a couple of years back. So I don't mind waiting. I understand these guys get really busy, especially if they're traveling. You know, I've seen, like, I keep going back to Matt Cardona just because I see a lot of what he does. There's sometimes that guy's catching like 5-6 flights a week sometimes, or a fortnight, you know, and the last thing he's going to do is sit there responding to emails. You know, I understand they jump on social media and all that, but I think it's very quick. But in terms of business stuff, I think that's more something they'll sit down and go, okay, now what did I miss? You know?
Yeah.
So I don't take any of it personally or anything like that.
No, you really can't. It's just it's the life of a wrestler, man. That's just the life of a wrestler. That's how it is.
That's it.
Yeah,
Sorry, I just got my coffee.
I always joked around when you know, times when I've worked with Chris Jericho in the past for some, you know, conventions, and I would just joke at him saying, I don't think you I think what you do is you go home like once every few months if you're lucky.
I've noticed. It's insane.
I say I think you go home once every like once every couple months, take a whole bunch of stock photos. So everything you post on social media is just stock photos from like months ago. It didn't happen this weekend. Because you're never home, dude. You're never home. You're always either Fozzy stuff, or it's, you know, you're wrestling, or you're doing movies, or a book signing, or something. You know, you're never home.
And those stock, or that what are they called? Influencers?
Yeah, influencers.
Where they take about 100 photos a week in different outfits and then post them over the next 2 months.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he does. That's what he
could
does.
not do that, but I know you have to. So that's fine.
Are you sticking strictly with wrestling cards right now, or are you still doing other stuff too?
um, I'm open to other stuff, but I've got goals within the wrestling card industry. Uh, Look, I've done other stuff. I've worked with a member of the Socceroos, who the Socceroos is our national soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
We call it football, but that's a whole separate debate.
Yes.
So I worked with him. He's a mate of mine as well, so that was pretty cool. I've done stuff, believe it or not, with adult stars, as in adult film stars. That
we'll talk.
tried to.
We'll talk.
Look, that wasn't really a good experiment in the end,
Yeah,
but it was there. It was an opportunity.
It never really is when you're talking about it in the end.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll lay off that one, but
Yeah,
it is
yes.
what it. We'll take that at face value, and that's
Okay.
that. But look, I don't at the moment no plans to do anything with non-wrestling related stuff. There's potentially one, but that's more of an Australian sort of thing that would take off. It wouldn't be an international. It wouldn't be of international interest.
Sounds like you're having a lot of fun with wrestling.
That's the thing, the communities that I've been fortunate to be a part of, and the people I've met through that. I've made some really, really good friends through it that I speak to daily. So I think that's where I'm going to stay for a little bit. Well,
Because
as long as I can, I want to go as far as I can. I've got a pretty big 5-year sort of goal on that.
that's nice. I mean, clearly you're a
Yeah.
fan. I mean, you're sitting there wearing an NWO shirt for crying out loud. So.
Oh yeah, see, I don't want to step on any toes or anything, but I'm a fan of the old stuff.
No, it's okay. That's cool.
Yeah, I haven't religiously watched wrestling for a very long time, only because my mind's
I'm
still
with you.
stuck in the Attitude Era, right? And prior. So I was born '88, but I mean I started watching wrestling as young as I can remember. Whenever my parents eventually let me watch it, I couldn't really tell you, but I can't remember what I had yesterday for breakfast, so I'm not going to remember when I started watching wrestling. But I do remember, once the Attitude Era started, and even, maybe all the way up to about, I think, 2006. That was when I was like, okay, I'm not going to watch this anymore, because you hit that point of, I know they don't really hate each other, I know that's not real blood. Well, in some cases it was,
Right.
but yeah. And then you get to that point and you're like, all right, no, this isn't. When you're trying to be the cool kid,
Yeah.
it's like cool kids don't watch wrestling and all that when you're in school, and people give you shit for that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I can't have that. And I was in the music industry at the time. I'm like, I don't want to be known as that. Now it's like, as I got older, I got a bit more into it, but I it's so hard to not compare what's going on now to that era. When they got away with so much more and it was a lot more raw and everything. And so, but I am a fan. And now I find myself kind of following, the likes of GCW and things like that a lot more, because I feel like I'm getting part of the Attitude Era in these indie companies.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's cool. I like that. But I still respect what's going on in the major companies too. I've worked with a few people that are on those shows as well, which is great. But everyone has their taste when it comes to wrestling, Some of it I find really, really cringe, and then some of it I absolutely love, So I just watch it for different reasons now.
That's always been wrestling, though. It's always been where there are segments where, like, why am I watching this? And then other segments like, this is why I'm watching this.
Yeah, I mean, like, now I watch it more for the athleticism side of things. Like, I'm keeping an eye out on seeing, action-packed stuff, storylines and promos.
You're a High Spots fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. See, yes, storylines and promos and all that sort of stuff. I just can't. I can't get my head around enjoying that anymore, because I'm just like, I'm not buying this.
I'm not buying it.
But there's still people, well into their 50s that are still buying each and every one of these storylines like it's actually happening. You know what? So be it. It is what it is.
It's always been it's a male-dominated soap opera, and that's what it is. So
definitely, and that's how I try to explain it to my friends. There's that golden thing that everyone always gets asked, or it's fake, right? And I'm
yeah, because Game of Thrones is real.
Like, thank you. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. You know Big Brother, and you know everything else that you're watching. It's all staged as well. You know
Yep.
that, right? You know
Yep.
that movie you watched last week? You know that really, really cool movie that you loved? Yeah, it never actually happened? You know? So I just see it as a live show or a live movie that's extended over some time, or a series, like you said, it's a male dominated soap opera sort of thing. Um, but while we're on that, I mean, the women are doing a great job.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
I don't know when the first match I watched, and I was like, holy crap! I was like, this entire division has been flipped on its head. Um, and I can't remember exactly because for me it was always Lita. Lita was like the benchmark of high flyer. She had badass attitude and all that sort of stuff. I loved her. And then I was like, all right, I didn't see that in any of the new ones coming through, and even through NXT and all that. And then something happened. I don't know where the flip happened because I wasn't really following it religiously, like I said. Um, and I watched it when I think I just finally got told about Bianca Belair and all these ones coming up. And I was watching that, and then I saw Rhea Ripley was there, and I'm like, okay, she's Aussie. What the hell's going on here? And I was like, more Aussies are in the major companies now and everything, so that was cool. And I'm like, all right, let me watch this. I'm like, wow, they've come a long way, you know. Like, the first year of the Royal Rumble where it was the men's and the first women's one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Women's outdid the men by a mile, by an absolute country mile. They outdid
Yep.
them, I think, and that was when I was like, whoa, this is damn cool. But like I said, the storyline side of things and all that, I can't do it anymore, man. I literally, I just can't. Like, unless it's so unpredictable, then I'll sit there and go, okay, this is cool. This is like watching a movie.
Well, there's a lot going on in AEW now, I hear, but
There is, yeah.
So I mean,
There is.
I don't watch any wrestling, so I haven't watched any wrestling in years.
There you go.
And me, even being what I do, for a living and working with a lot of talent as it is, I don't even talk wrestling with most of these guys. So I hear it all the time every weekend that I'm working with these guys, but I don't because the fans come to the table and they always want to engage and talk about things.
Right.
But personally, I never talk about these kind of things. So I've always treated wrestling since the invention of social media, basically, just like Sports Center, ESPN. I catch all the highlights, so I'm kind of always a little bit in the know.
So
Otherwise,
that's what I do as well. Yeah, I just hit up YouTube and watch the 6-7 minute segment highlights sort of thing.
yep,
And then at least I still know what's happening. If I want to tune into a full show, I'll know when to.
sure, yeah.
Hang on, I got a question for you then. If you're heavily involved in wrestling cards and whatnot, but you don't watch it anymore, how do you keep up with who's the ones to have or who's trending right now and stuff like that?
Well, one, I don't collect.
Mm,
First off, I don't collect. Otherwise,
okay.
otherwise I would be owning every piece of. I'd own one of every copy of every card you've ever made, because I'm a completist and I see things that I like
Yeah.
and I'd buy it all. Like the
Okay.
3 cards I have of you behind me on the graphic I made, literally 5 minutes before we jumped on, is I would love to own all 3 of those, but I don't collect anymore because it's like an addiction and you kind of have to. So
I know.
when I got back into collecting again, I
Yes.
do PC. I PC Kurt Angle stuff, and
Yep.
I PC Dexter Loomis. That's it.
He's cool.
Just and I made no bones about it either. I've never seen him wrestle in my life,
Oh wow. Okay.
and I did it on sheer look. That was it, just by looks.
He's a scary looking dude, that Dexter guy, right?
Well, yeah, he just I don't know, there's something about that look that just kind of I don't know. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna collect this guy, and I'm happy doing it. I'm having a lot of fun doing what I do now, collecting now. But my hobby really has been, I've said this many times over the last several months, especially, is my hobby is collecting information for the website.
Okay.
So I would love to, someday down the road, you and I are hopefully we'll go back and forth through emails or whatever, or we can text or whatever, where I can get like an official checklist of your stuff and put up there. I think collectors need to know about 50 years from now, people are going to want to know, like, there were these cool cards that came out, like badass, really good looking cards from 2020 through 20 whatever the case may be, that you made. Where'd they come from? And got to go to WTC to find out.
That's a cool thing. That's a cool thing to know. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to give you all that information and images, whatever you need. For sure.
Yeah, just so that we could have it, so we could archive stuff like that. I mean, there's just so much stuff out there. It's just especially with the card grading company. So I don't get a lot of emails from people asking me specifically about cards, like where did this come from, da 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 da. I mean, I get those
Yeah.
emails every once in a while, but I've been getting a lot more emails from the grading companies asking me to help answer some, like, can you give us a little more information about
Yeah.
this particular card? Because they're using our website to help authenticate cards, and
Oh, so that's cool, man.
I take a lot of pride in that, and
Yes.
I got a great team of people behind me now. With Chuckster and Paul and Armand. These guys are sort of like they keep an eye on everything, and they bring all the information in a checklist format, and I just go into the back end like that and format it all and put it up
Yeah.
on the site. So it's a good team that we have, and I'm really enjoying doing that more than anything else. Otherwise, I don't want to
Right.
buy everything you make.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've met a lot of people that I've never been that way when it comes to collecting anything, whether it's, Funkos, cards, anything. I've never been that way where it's like, oh, okay, if I'm going to get one, then I have to get the rest of the set. I'm very, I don't know, I don't know what the word is. Like, I'm very, like, kind of kick back when it comes to collecting things. So
So
if I
you're
see
very,
something I
but you're
like,
very
I'll buy it.
selective. It sounds like when because I consider you an artist. So it sounds like as if from an artist standpoint. So I use whatever the mood strikes you. Like how you just said
Yeah,
earlier, how you do your
literally.
designs, which is probably like, oh, whatever the mood strikes me on what kind of card I want to buy.
Literally, that's all it is.
So it's like you don't
Yeah.
really. I mean, you don't really. But that's what I was going to ask, anyways, too, about collecting. Like, do you even collect wrestling cards?
Good question. Very good question. Just when was it? It was, and I'm happy to admit it. Probably about, I think it was 6 months ago now. 7 or 8 maybe. I sold off many of my cards. So I was an AFL card collector. Um, and I sold off all of that for a couple reasons. One, uh, some finances, financial issues. Well,
Yep.
not issues. I wanted some extra money, so I'm like, well, there's cards I've got that I don't really need. Plug them off, get
Yeah.
rid of those. And then I was like, all right, I'll keep the ones that I really want. So I kept all the ones that have sentimental value and all that. And then I never really collected anything else. It was just AFL cards. I had a couple of Premier League cards from England, from Chelsea, but that was it. And then when I started designing wrestling cards and whatnot, I was like, all right, let me have a look at what's out. Okay, if I'm going to do this, I kind of want to see what's out,
Did
And
you
I
ever
started
did
looking.
you ever collect wrestling cards even as a kid?
Never.
Never.
No, I didn't even collect figures when I was a kid. Like, I mean, I don't think anyone collected figures as a kid, but
Sure.
I didn't have a lot of my action figures when I was a kid. Sorry to go on to action figures, but my action figures as a kid were ones to play with, not to collect. Like,
Sure.
and I only had about 5 or 6, maybe 10 tops. Um, and I only kept like 5 of them from when I was a kid. I've still got them, but when it came to cards, Pokemon was my thing. I was in love with Pokemon cards. Like, I used to love that. I'd go around to mates' houses, and it was just, you didn't even have to trade or anything. It was just literally looking up, what's available, what's the next set, or go through each other's binders. We have binders this thick and everything of just cards, and that was the thing. It was fun back then. But never wrestling cards. And then I only just started looking into getting wrestling cards in the last 6 months, and I haven't bought a lot. I've only got there's a few behind me here. Like I said, this whole area is a work in progress. But there's a few behind here.
Weak collection, man. Weak,
I
weak.
know, I know. Well, I've set myself a rule, right? Well, it's not a rule; it's just a goal. I want to get one order of every single Australian wrestler, including the Bushwhackers, because
That's
yes,
fun.
New Zealand,
That's a fun
right?
fun collection.
Yeah, so I've started. I've got Persia Perotta's rookie there from Select. I also got another one off her website as well. Um, they're costly. I didn't realize that the Aussies have a few costly autos in there. So I'm gonna have to.
Because they're good name talent, man.
Yeah, I mean they're doing all right. Like Buddy Matthews and Rhea and all that. It's not easy. So, but then there's a couple in there that I like. I've got Bron Breaker sitting there. I've got a really nice Oscar patch behind the Messi. There's a Lionel Messi there as well. But I'm only just getting started back into the cards thing again. And like I said, I'm not one of those people that says, okay, so I've bought this, so I've got to have all of these as well.
Well, no, that's and there's not a lot of people who do that. Like having people
Yeah.
who are there's set collectors, which we've had conversation with in the past. Like we find like that maybe set collectors are kind of a dying breed because it's just either not affordable. It becomes harder. Products it's become more expensive. So people have found new lanes to travel in to continue to collect because these guys don't want to leave the hobby. Why should they? They enjoy it. They love it. But they found new ways to love it and go out there and find different ways to collect. So that's I did. I'm a perfect example of that. I was a set collector. I had stuff from pre 2005. I had master sets.
Oh wow!
Complete master sets.
That's expensive.
It was back in that based on those terms back then. Yeah, but now I just can't afford to. For one, two, I don't have any desire to, anyways, and I'm having a lot of fun doing what the collecting I do right now with being a player collector, as it were. So
that's the thing. What you just said, the fun aspect of it. I don't want it to feel like it's a chore.
Yes.
I don't want to feel like, oh, I got this one auto from whoever it might be. Okay, now I need to find every other auto of theirs. Then I feel like I'm going out and spending money just literally to satisfy like my brain to say, oh, you have them?
Yeah.
No, I want to buy something. And here's the thing. I don't know if this is like because I'm in the graphic design world or in the sports card world, whatever it might be. Or I'm just weird. I don't know.
Could be that.
I think we're all weird, which is good. I don't buy cards that I don't like the design of. So just because somebody signed something is not good enough for me. I have to like how that looks because it's going on display in my room.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So one of my biggest inspirations, a guy that I look up to not only as a designer, but the way he handles his business and how he goes about what he does in the sports card industry in terms of design. No doubt, I think you would have heard of him. Do you know Tyson Beck?
Yep.
So we've had some great conversations, him and I. He's been a really, really good help to me. A lot of advice, a lot of tips. He's helped me with other things just on the back end of sort of stuff. But his designs are technically, they're not like trading cards as such that you get out of a pack. They're art cards. All these collaborations that he's done with Steph Curry and Antetokounmpo and, as of late, Mayweather, he's done all these massive collaborations, but the designs are really cool. And it's something that someone would say, I need to buy that because I love the design,
because they're pieces of art.
Yes, exactly. And that's my goal. I don't want to label myself as this, but I'd love to be on his wavelength, but in the wrestling industry. That's the goal that I've set myself. I want to not do the exact same thing that he's doing and collaborate with massive things that put out, 7 or 8 cards of the one person. I've got my own kind of style that I go with. But I'd love to do similar things and give, the talent this sort of opportunity as well as my own opportunity to work with them, but to give them a unique piece that they can offer to their following and fans, I guess, you can label them as fans too. So then when I collect, I look at it the exact same way. I'm looking at these unique opportunities of what sort of cool designs am I going to see on these cards. And if a set comes out, another thing you have to understand is Select, even Revolution, Immaculate when it comes out soon. In Australia, our prices for things are a lot more expensive than America for cards, for figures, whatever it might be. I don't want to jump in. I don't know if that topic's coming in terms of how hard it is to find stuff, but
no, tell people. I like to know what people's what their market is out there. It's like that.
It's also it's very easy for us to not be so heavy into collecting as much as other people because it is harder to find things here unless you're buying online. But for me, just to get off the prior subject, I only buy cards, like I say, that I like the design of. So someone like Tyson Beck and someone like, whoever else I might find, just even I'll buy customs, but look, I'm like I say, I'm not. That's a touchy subject for me. I don't want to really endorse it, but sometimes I see something I'm like, that looks damn cool, and I want it. So.
But I mean, these are little 2.5 by 3.5 inch, pieces of canvas cards that are, and they're going to speak to you and how they speak to you. And I've been really preaching a lot lately about about having fun, the positivity of the hobby itself, and that you collect what you love for whatever reason why you love it, and especially with wrestling because wrestling is so based on nostalgia. That can really take you back to either a moment or, as I've even tweeted recently, even an entire era. And so when you find something that, whatever it may be, whether it be a simple layout design, but it's a shot from an image of like a WrestleMania back in 2 or 3 that you loved so much as a kid, and you're like, I gotta have that because it makes me feel a certain way, and I gotta have that. And that's what cardboard is, and that's what collecting is all about. It's about having fun.
I love how you say cardboard. The first time I ever heard that, someone was like, "You realize we collect pieces of colorful cardboard?"
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, "Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to put it that way, that's what we're all waiting."
I also other people spend millions of dollars on some really colorful canvases.
Literally, that's all it is.
That's all it is.
It means something to them, so that's fine.
It means something to them. So as long as you're having fun, it's why there's really no wrong way, or one way, I should say. There's no one way to collect.
And there's and that flips over to design as well. There's no correct way to design. I could literally have one picture of a person on a white canvas and put their name on it, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
And someone's gonna go, "Oh, real minimalistic. I like it." I'm like, "Mate, that took like 5 minutes tops." I'm like, and in some latest card sets that have come out of AFL cards, there's been these canvas cards that they put on there, and it's literally just a blank canvas. It's got their name in gold, and it's the player on there, and that's it.
That's it.
And people were losing their minds over these things. They're like, "Oh my god, they look so slick," and I'm like, "They actually look pretty cool." But I'm like, in terms of a design factor, I wouldn't get it because I'm like, I don't see like it. I like to see that a lot of heart went into the design, so that's how I collect. Yeah. But in terms of Australia and how hard it is to get things, like a box of Select, for example, if I wanted to buy that, they're at about, well, the last price that I saw at a store near me was $350. Wow. A couple other stores have them for like $320 or whatever it might be, plus shipping on top.
Are we talking about Select as in the company that makes football cards there, or
no,
WWE
I'm talking
Select?
about the wrestling
Panini.
Select.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
Panini. Yeah, but I speak with one of my friends. He's a guy from the Major Pod group. Mm-hmm. His name's Shawnee Caulfield. He's actually got a podcast himself, all that sort of stuff. Not on cards, just all general stuff. I was speaking to him the other day, and we were comparing prices of what you guys pay for boxes of cards or single cards or whatever they might be, and as opposed to us. And you guys have all these hobby stores, mm-hmm. that collectible stores that you go in, there's just figures lining the walls, and behind the counter, there's just a whole bunch of wrestling cards and baseball cards, football cards, all that. You come here, we might get one of those stores. Like, I don't have any in my area. I've got none. The next one closest to me is about an hour drive away. You guys have one of those on every corner like it's a fish and chip shop.
It's not that bad. It ain't that bad.
No. See, I would love that.
Comparatively speaking, I'm sure, but
yeah, I would love to have that sort of, and that's why, like, if you take it to the figure side of things, we have a few toy stores, but we don't have these sorts of collectible places all over the place. And I see a couple of my friends, they do fig hunts and card hunts and things like that for their YouTube channel. And I see they go to one place, and then I don't see anything on that channel on a hunt for another month because I'm like, where are they going to go?
There's nowhere
else to go. You know what I mean? So it's very, very hard, and we pay premium prices. Like, an ultimate figure in America is like whatever it is, $25, $30. Over here, it's like $60 or $70.
One of these?
That there is like $70 for us.
Oh my god.
And sometimes more. I remember when The Undertaker and Kane, when those two came out, I saw them at 80, 85. They're dropped down now on special to 65 on sale. And I'm like, whoa, that price doesn't even convert when I do the conversion to see if it's around the same sort of, that's insane, But when it comes to cards, yeah, it's very expensive. Like, our AFL cards are pretty reasonably priced because they're here, It's specific to our country. But when it comes to wrestling cards, it's very very hard, you know. But for the seller, it's really really good because I've seen a lot of people in these different card groups I'm in that are all, you know, American based. They'll say something like, "Oh, I found that card that I really want, but it's in Australia," and they say it's such a good price, and I'm like, "Yeah, because we're putting it up for a price that is fair to us, which to you guys is real cheap." You know, like my mate said to me, I've got a Becky Lynch, one of those neon green ones. Have I got it here? Yeah, this thing here, right? This one here.
Okay. Yep.
I got one of those, and my mate's like, "Oh, dude," he goes, "You could easily sell that for about, you know, $60 or $70." And I'm like, "Hang on, are you talking to me in American or in Australian? Because nobody's paying $80 for that in Australia. I'll tell you that right now." Yeah. And I'm like, like numbers to me mean nothing. I don't care about numbers on cards. I don't like it. I hate it. Right? That's a whole nother subject. But it's to 49, and I'm like, all right, well, let's see what I can put it up. The last one went for like $47 in Australia, and I'm like, where are you getting $70, $80 from? He's like, because that's kind of like what you could sell it for over here, and someone will pay it. I'm like, man, that's not happening here. I'm telling you right now, that's not happening. With AFL cards, yeah, you can, you know, they hold very good value if it's a good auto or a, a good patch card or
Well,
relic card, whatever.
it's also domestic for you. That's why it's like that.
Yeah, and
Which
wrestling for you is the same, right?
correct. I mean,
Yeah.
because manufacturers are typically here in the United States. They're printed here in the United States. Which the printing
Yeah.
aspect, I'm going to derail for a second because I wanted to go back to this earlier. The printing aspect. You mentioned that sometimes you have them printed in the States, sometimes you have them printed in there. Do you print things yourself directly at your house, or do you use a printing company in Australia? I mean, what's a normal process like that? I'm just curious. I know I'm going way off topic
No,
here.
no, no. It's good. I like talking about that
Yeah,
stuff. You know, I never get a chance to talk about the technical or
yeah,
side of things. I don't print them myself. No, I wish I had the machines because it would save me a lot of money, and I'd probably be able to make a lot more money. But no, I do not print them. I've got three suppliers. So I've got a printer I'm in Melbourne, but I've got a printer that's in Sydney, and he does all my just kind of like standard, just base sort of cards, whatever that are going to get signed and all that. When it comes to holographic cards and foiling and all that, my supplier's in China because it's a lot cheaper for me, even with shipping, to get it from there than it is in Australia. Setup fees and things like that for foiling and holographic stuff in Australia is very expensive. I'm yet to find someone that is able to do it at a competitive price.
I imagine it'd be pretty expensive here too. That stuff isn't cheap.
Yeah, so I looked up what the prices are in America as well for that sort of stuff, and it's cheaper than here, but it's still very expensive. Um, and then I've got a supplier for accessories as well. So, you know, one-touch cases, top loaders, sleeves, all that sort of stuff. And they're in China as well, but I also have a supplier in Australia if I need it quicker.
Right.
As for America, like I said, sometimes it's easier for me to get them printed there and have them sign them there. Um, I just have one person that I go to there. That's it, because they deliver door to door sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's easier. And their stuff's really good quality. It's not the same quality as what I would have here, because one is a designated offset printer, excuse me, or supplier. And then over there, it's kind of like just a digital printing agency that prints anything, card stock, business cards, whatever it might be. So that's how. I mean, maybe in the future I might look to get a machine, but for that sort of stuff, you'd have to do offset printing so that it's, you know, the best quality.
Yeah, yeah. And they can be very pricey too. I mean, the initial setup costs on that stuff are very, very expensive.
Yeah, I mean, for stuff like inserts where there's embossing or debossing or, you know, foiling and
Or even,
holographic
I think you even did one where you had like event worn material. You had stuff that was embedded.
No, so for that, I have to credit Jeff Sharbo on that from Two Sweet Relics or Two Sweet Antiques. He hand makes every single one of those.
Seriously.
Yeah, mate.
I saw a picture on your Twitter feed once. I think it was before. I mean, obviously we all know about it since, but it was for a Swoggle event warrants like that. And it's like a spirally. You see the spirally designs like that, and it's like, what is that? And then knowing what it is now, then going back and seeing it, I go, oh, that's that piece, man. That's pretty cool. Look at how you see all the hole punching that he did for the card right there.
Yeah, so he basically the process of that real quick is that I'll design the card. I then design the area, like keep that area clear where it's going to be the cutting area, so to speak, where the relic area. And then straight to him, get them printed, usually in the States for that because it gets to him quicker. He'll have the material sent by whoever the talent is, and then he hand makes every single one. If we're doing 100, he'll hand make 100 of them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's a lengthy process, but he does very well with that sort of stuff, you know. So I have to credit him for that. He's done pretty well with that because I wouldn't even know where to start doing that sort of stuff. Like that's some really nitty gritty sort of, you know, tedious work, I would assume, and he's got the machinery for cutting and all that. So, but I mean, look, I had a custom patch card like that done for a friend here as a gift, and it cost me, delivered to my house, it cost me, I think it was $70 Australian.
Wow.
So that was the design. Well, it's not. He's got a template design, so he doesn't design it from scratch. Otherwise, you would be paying more.
Yeah.
But it's this template that you can choose out of about 10 of them, and then he'll put whatever color patch you want in there, and just change the wording on whatever it is you want it to say. And you just provide him the photos, and he'll slap it on, and done, straight to your door. Which is a pretty good price. I've seen people charge anywhere from, you know, $100 to $130, we'll say, for something like that on Etsy or whatever it might be.
Oh yeah.
So $70 is pretty damn good, you know.
Yep.
But maybe in the future I'll get into printing. For now, I don't really have an interest in it. And especially like if I'm putting all my time into design.
Yeah, your time is really much used on design aspects. Let the other guys out there do the printing process. Like, here it is. There's my baby. You go ahead and package it up for me.
Exactly. They're the ones that are good at that stuff. So I'd rather someone that's good at it do it, and not me try to do a budget job, you know?
Sure, yeah.
Come out all buckled.
What do you got? We're going to wrap up here, so what do you got coming up, man? What do you got coming up in the future here? Any special projects? Anything you could actually leak? Anything you could talk about? Or is everything all top secret-y?
You going to say you're trying to get info out of me? Or
No, just, you know, hey, I'm just asking. It doesn't hurt to ask.
No, I'm only kidding, man. I've got look,
we're not gonna talk about your Mighty Ducks hat for crying out loud.
What's wrong with my hat? It's beautiful.
That's my area, man.
That's a ripper hat. That is. That's awesome. I wanted it in black, and I couldn't find it in black, so I went into this store here. We have like our version of is it lids? That
lids,
you guys have there?
Yeah.
We've got like our version of that here. And they just got all this sort of stuff, and I was like, I want it in black, and he didn't have any left. I was sold out, so I'm like, I'll take this one.
I'll take that one.
That's all right. Look, I can't. It's
I mean, you're doing. I did notice that. What I'm saying about stuff coming up. I mean, you're always still taking commission work, right?
Yes. So I always do that on the side. If anyone ever wants to talk about that, I'm always available for that. If I've got the time. If I'm not working on something else, then yes.
And those are primarily pretty much true one-offs. Like, you do a design, it's a one design, one card, done.
Oh yeah. I've done commission jobs where a parent has contacted me and said, my son plays basketball or whatever, blah, blah, I want to make a card for him. Cool, we do it. You know, it's not always, you know, something, you know, some massive talent or whatever it is and stuff like that. But at the same time, like I haven't done commission work in a very long time. I've been busy with official stuff, but I also don't, like, if I'm doing all these sorts of things where I just do them for fun, you know, people will post up, like the recent one I did of Hook. I put that on Twitter, and someone asked me, are you selling these? Oh, thank you. Someone's like, are you selling these? I'm like, mate, I don't have the rights to sell this, you know, but that's cool. I don't know why they're asking. If that's all, again,
that's a whole different conversation, talking about, as I've talked about before, bootlegs.
Yeah, so I don't get into that, but commission jobs, like I said, you know, a lot of people hit me up and they go, hey, I need something as a gift or whatever. I'll do that. It's no problem. But in terms of actual releases coming, there's 3 on the way.
Excellent.
I can't say who, because I'll put out my promo drops and everything like that. Okay. But yeah, we'll say I'll give you some. There's a female.
Okay.
There's a former major company star. I guess we'll just put it that way.
That's good though. But basically you're keeping busy, which is great. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
that's
like
good.
I mean, you're putting out pretty frequently some either just like like teasers of like, hey, something I just felt in the mood to do, and then
Yeah,
you're putting out actually official release stuff that you actually have contractual work with some people or companies to do stuff for, which is really cool. So
yeah.
I know for me personally, like I just I can't scratch that itch and go in that way and go out and start buying stuff because you make some incredible stuff. I'd love to be able to buy some of that stuff, but I know what my limits are, and I can't do that.
So that's all right. I'm gonna have to send you like a care package at some point.
I mean, if it's Kurt Angle or Dexter Loomis, I'm all over it.
Okay. All
But
right.
anything else, I mean, it's just save it for someone else.
That's all right. I'll definitely send you some
I'll
stuff.
definitely love to get the information from you though about the stuff you have released in the past.
Yes.
I think that we should have a Beau Jay page of just like just call it the collection,
The collection.
the collection, and then
Sounds
it's
so official, you know?
yeah, it's very official. Like I think once you've made it on WTC, it really becomes official to me. At least I would think so. I mean, we've been doing it for
I
20,
mean,
20 years now.
I know like people have mentioned your website and pages, your social pages to me numerous times. Um, whether it's being like, oh, did you see this post? And they just send me a post that you tweeted something or whatever. I'm like, I keep seeing this guy. Like, who is this? Right. And then okay, I was following you on Twitter for a while or Insta, one of the two. I had one, but I didn't have the other. I don't scroll a lot on social media, so
Yeah.
but then I keep getting sent like a lot of stuff from your page, or you'll retweet something from someone else, and I'm like, again, it's him. I'm like, this just keeps coming up. So your name's definitely out there. I mean, like,
Trying to it's just bringing the world out there of our world of wrestling cards, and as you've seen already through after the pandemic and such, collectibles as a whole has exploded. Panini getting
yes,
involved in our hobby now has really put a lot more eyeballs on our little niche of the
yeah,
hobby, for good, bad, or indifferent, as I've always said. But wrestling cards are kind of getting the respect, a little more respect than they've ever had before, which they deserve.
I
So
agree.
the whole Roman Reigns saying, "I've acknowledged me." Well, we're acknowledged now, and people are paying attention to it. There's some valuable stuff in our
Yes.
hobby, and there's some really coolly designed stuff, and that's kind of what get you on the horn here for like some really cool design stuff, man. And I'm just really happy you were able to take the time to join us, man.
No, thank you. It's been fun.
Why don't you let everybody know how they get a hold of you? People who don't know aware of your work, how can they find you? How can they find your work?
So I just use Twitter and Instagram. I'm not really on Facebook. So it's Beau Jay. So ITSBEAUJAY. On Instagram and Twitter, and that's it. I'm always posting my stuff on there, and that's all I got.
That's all you got, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
for us guys, you can always find us on WrestlingTradingCards.com. All of our social media links are on the bottom of every single page of our website. It's a little built-in footer I put on every single page. Check us out. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, whatever you like to do, bitch, complain, whatever you like. I always say the thing, as long as you're engaging and you're talking about the hobby, whether it be a complaint, whether it be something you're proud of, whether it be what you think of Beau's amazing artwork here, so like that, and the cards he makes, let us all hear about it, and let's talk about some more wrestling cards, man. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks again. It was
And,
really good.
with that, man, I say we are out.